obviously we can read much more about this in your
Yes.
book, but I was hoping that you could just almost explain for us in a way, what is cyber infidelity? If I am having a series of conversations with somebody online, and perhaps this is going somewhere where I'm not quite sure of what I'm doing, or whether I'm crossing a line, are there any markers
Yes.
that show me I'm in a territory that could be classified as cyber infidelity?
Yeah, that's a great question. So what my research has shown is that there really are, to use your word, markers. Is first of all, if you're keeping it a secret. So if you're hiding it, and that begins another whole conversation between couples of what's private and what's secret. If you're keeping it a secret, and if you're looking at this and thinking, I don't really want to share this with my partner, or I'm going to be hiding my phone because I really wouldn't want my phone to be found, that is a marker for you that actually you're up to something which is going to cause harm. If you have a contract with a partner, which most people do, whether they say it or they don't, that they are going to fulfill those three values, which is monogamy and sexual fidelity, as well as commitment, and you find that you're breaking those in your own self with your own integrity, that's definitely a sign for you, a red flag. I am probably committing cyber infidelity. If you don't want to be caught out, if you feel that what you're doing there is really something which would get you into trouble, that's cyber infidelity. So in the book, it's a really, I mean, so the layout is beautiful. Human and Research, NB Publishers, have done a magnificent job of laying the book out. There's a lot of quizzes. I've written a lot of, it's an interactive book. It's a guide for you to be able to find out what cyber infidelity is and actually how do I find my way around it. And so one of the questions that I do ask is, if your partner were to see what you've written or the image that you've sent, the sexting that you've done, would they define that as cyber infidelity? So you've got a quiz, a self-test to be able to do to say, this is what I define as cyber infidelity, and this is what I think my partner would define as cyber infidelity. The responses from Ashley Madison, who I surveyed, were absolutely surprising and phenomenal for me. The women and men, which were age 18 all the way to 55 plus in 5 different countries, which were South Africa, the UK, Australia, and the USA and Canada, across all of the countries, across all ages, they said, men and women alike, I do not feel guilty about what I'm doing. And in fact, I asked them what were the benefits to them of being on Ashley Madison. What is the benefits of cyber infidelity? And I got this list, which was everything about it was surprising for me. I mean, I've just learned so much. That they all said, my self-esteem has been enhanced. I'm sexually much more satisfied than I am in my real life. I feel much more positive about my future and about life. So you're talking about an improvement in quality of life, as well as in personal happiness, what we call your happiness quotient, which is a really amazing thing to consider. And here they think they're not doing anything bad. They don't feel any guilt around it because they're still physically present in their lives with their partners and fulfilling their duties as role or as husband. But they've got this other relationship form going on, which is making them feel very happy. So, you know, the conundrum is this good or is this bad? You have to read the book to find out what my conclusion is.
Absolutely. So tell us where we can find this book.
Well, the book is in every single bookstore in South Africa, and of course in my store, which is dreveshop.co.za. So please go online and find it. And also what I've created is a whole new Facebook and Twitter and website account, which is marlenewassman.com, which is exclusively around cyber infidelity and sex tech. So I'm really running conversations and getting people to chat about their conundrums and difficulties and confusions and conflicts and questions that they have around their online lives, and it's really exciting.
Now, I just want to point out at this point that it's probably important to note that we're not speaking about open relationships where both parties understand that your partner is perhaps engaging in a cyber relationship or cyber sex really with somebody else. What we're referring to here is a case where perhaps your partner doesn't know.
Correct. Open relationships are another new form of relationships, which is also called consensual non-monogamy or ethical cheating, because the huge difference is that both partners know about it and they've agreed that they're going to be able to engage with other people in one or other format. We've got so many different forms of relationship today. I mean, I can kind of hardly keep up, and I talk a lot about them in my book. We've got hookups, we've got friends with benefits, we've got open relationships, ethical cheating, and we've got polyamory, which is loving more than one person at the same time. And then, of course, we've got cyber infidelity, which is another form of new, novel kind of relationships. So people have got to be really clear. They have to contract with each other. I mean, that's the conclusion of the book. You have to contract with each other around what's called a netiquette guideline, which is inside my book. How are we going to conduct ourselves online? How much do we share? How much don't we share? How much of the traditional values of marriage do we still want to encompass? So another interesting finding on Ashley Madison was I asked them, do you still believe in these traditional values of fidelity, monogamy, and commitment? And 99% of people said, absolutely, I still do believe that. And here's the paradox. They were all people who I surveyed sitting on a site for married people, dating site for married people. And let's not also get fooled by just Ashley Madison, which always gets a bad rap somehow. The majority of cheating is happening on Facebook, and about 40% of people who are signed up to dating apps like Tinder and regular dating sites, they're married.
Really?
Yeah. So Ashley Madison actually has a lot of credibility as far as I'm concerned, because they're transparent about what they're doing. So people are seeking, I mean, that's what, without a judgment, people are seeking additional relationships. They want to stay married. I asked my people on Ashley Madison, do you want to stay married? Are you happy in your marriages? And nobody wants to leave their marriage. So we've got a very interesting, diverse form of relationship that's unfolding. We can't get offline, but it's looking at how do we manage it, and it's looking at talking to a partner and saying what is private, what is secretive, and what is going to be acceptable in terms of our behavior.
Now, it all comes back to a term that you've been using a few times during this interview,
Yeah.
and that's contracting.
Yes.
And there may be a viewer who says, but Dr. Eve, that is hopelessly unromantic. It doesn't sound like something that is very sexy or something that I want to do with my partner. Mm-hmm. But actually, and you mentioned this, we all do it, whether it is written or spoken about or not.
Right, it's kind of an unconscious agreement, especially if you get married in a religious environment, or you take religious vows as well as your legal vows as well. You have to contract. I think couples, well, I'm a therapist, so I mean I spend a lot of time with couples creating contracts with them, whether it's about who takes out the rubbish or what do we do about babies. It's absolutely essential to have ongoing intimate conversations with a partner, which is way more difficult than having real life sex, by the way. So now, included in negotiating around condoms, for example, we have to negotiate around our sex tech lives. There's just no doubt about it, because people are going to find themselves in trouble with cyber-infidelity. There is just too much seduction, which is why I called it the new seduction. There is too much seduction, and people are unaware that actually this is a betrayal until they get caught and they found out exactly how much pain has been caused.
Now, in your personal capacity, you've mentioned that you were surprised by some of the results that you found, and of course you've been doing this for a long time, so it's interesting to hear that there's still things out there that surprise you. Talk us through the process of compiling this book for you.
Right.
Was it interesting? Was it eye-opening? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I'll tell you how I did the research, because that's important. So the moment that I agreed with Ashley Madison that I was going to do this research, I then created a website called mycybersecret.com, which doesn't exist anymore. I've kind of taken it into the marlenewasserman.com. And I got people to post secrets. I really encourage people to post your secrets, your cyber secrets. And that was what's called my qualitative data. And forgive me, that's a quantitative data. And with that data, a lot of that data is inside my books. There's a lot of the narratives that are there come from that particular site, where people would post their story and their conundrums and their secrets and their concerns, and it's a cyber infidelity. So that was fabulous. And then my qualitative, I'm getting really mixed up today. My qualitative data were the surveys I conducted into Ashley Madison, into the 5 different countries across all age groups. And I did 5 different surveys with them, asking the different questions, and that formed the bones of the book for me. That was what I was guided by, the results of that. So the book is, and then the third part of my research, which of course was probably the most exciting for me or interesting for me, was that I had my own what's called lived experience. So I created a profile as a woman and as a man on Ashley Madison, and I spent 2 years online interacting with men and with women to be able to get a real sense of what, because it was real new to me. I mean, I've never been on a dating site before as a person, but it was really interesting for me to have this experience of what I was writing about, and that became like the most authentic part of the research for me, that I really understood how quickly that seduction happened. I fell in love, I had sex, I did the whole trip online with men and with women undercover, of course. I even went offline. I met some men offline. I couldn't meet women, of course, but I did undercover as well. The narratives are there, the self-test quizzes are there. So it's been an incredibly fun experience to actually write this book, and I have shifting my entire practice into specializing in cyber infidelity, to the extent that I'm going to be training professionals as well, my colleagues, in how to manage cyber infidelity in their therapy rooms internationally.
Tell us a little bit more about where we can find you online. You've touched on it briefly.
Yeah.
And if our viewers would like to interact with you via social networks, how can they do that?
Yeah, so it's marlenewasserman.com, that's my website. And then get onto Facebook, which is all on that marlenewasserman.com website. You'll find Facebook, Twitter, and I have a YouTube channel. Please go and have a look at that, because I've spent time talking to you about what cyber infidelity is, and there are different topics every single week. So please get on there right now, and you'll be able to see me talking about cyber infidelity and be able to interact and question me, and get onto Facebook and post your, respond to my posts, answer questions, and on Twitter, that's where I am as well, Dr. Wasserman.
We'll be sure to add links to those social networks and resources under this video. Thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Yeah, thank you.